the Lakers should pursue DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton would be fantastic as a starting center for the Los Angeles Lakers. Look, DeAndre Ayton came into the league averaging 16 and 10. He averaged 18 and 12 at one point in his career. The dude is 26 years old. And I repeat, he came up in the era of the Golden State Warriors, in which a center was not prioritized, in which there is no value for a center. You know? And he made it through that. And he's here now. And he's with an organization that has Donovan Clingan. They're going to want to push and promote Donovan Clingan. If the Lakers could get DeAndre Ayton for a fair trade, they ought to do it. If they could get DeAndre Ayton for the first round pick in 2031 protected, they ought to do it. DeAndre Ayton is ideal. And I'm going to tell you why. Not only is he a good position, he is one of the unique centers in the league in that he is a good position defender and he is a good help defender. He is a 75% free throw shooter, right? So there's a lot of centers in the league who are available who are terrible free throw shooters. You need a good free throw shooter as your center. It helps immensely, right? The other thing about DeAndre Ayton is he is not incompetent offensively. He is an offensive option. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, we don't need him to be an offensive option. We just need him to catch lobs because now you got Luka. Your simple mind is saying we just need him to catch lobs. No, it's great that he could catch lobs and he's that type of player, but we don't need him just to do that. Catch lobs, rebound, play some defense. Right? That's what a lot of people are saying. People forget the value of a center that could go to work in the middle, of a center that has an offensive repertoire. People forget the value of that. Let me explain something to you, because the people who are yelling, oh, we just need them to catch lobs, get rebounds, and play defense. People who are saying that do not understand the other dimension that a DeAndre Ayton could give you. If you unlock what DeAndre Ayton is capable of being on offense, then you unlock an entirely different world on offense for the rest of the team too. You see, I grew up on David Robinson, on Akeem Olajuwon, right? Go back and look at some videos of them. Go back and look at the teams that surrounded those guys. They're not the best teams ever. But what was the value of knowing you could throw it into Akeem Olajuwon, and if you didn't double him, Akeem Olajuwon was going to hurt you, right? He was going to make you pay every single time. Is DeAndre Ayton that? No. But he is definitely more of that than a Nick Claxton or a Daniel Gafford, right? So now when you throw it into DeAndre Ayton, you have to worry about him scoring on you. And if you don't come and double him, right, he's going to hurt you some kind of way, either draw fouls or get good shots 10 feet from the hoop. And yes, 10 feet from the hoop is still better than a three-pointer, right? We're coming out of the Golden State era, y'all. Either you get ahead of it or you're behind it, especially when you're the Lakers and no one's trying to help you out and there is a Laker tax. Get ahead of it. We're coming out of that simple-minded Golden State era. Okay? Akeem Olajuwon had Vernon Maxwell, right? Kenny Smith, Sam Cassell, Clyde Drexler, Mario Ely. All these guys were on the perimeter, right? Robert Horry. And when they threw it into Akeem Olajuwon, and the double was going to come because Akeem Olajuwon was kicking ass. And believe me, if J.J. Redick does his job and develops DeAndre Ayton will get to the point where he's kicking ass in the middle too. And at certain points in the game, he's unstoppable. And when that happens, you kick the ball out. Inside out is always better than Luka Doncic pounding the ball for 18 seconds and either throwing up some bullshit or passing it to somebody at the last second. Period, point blank. Okay? And that's what these guys who say we don't need DeAndre Ayton to be an offensive presence, that's what they don't understand. They're new school. All they remember is what just happened, which is the Golden State Warriors, right? With Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. That's all they remember. That's all they know. The history of basketball, fucking respect it. It's telling you inside out is always better than some dude pounding the air out the ball. Yes, I'm talking about Luka Doncic. Then Luka Doncic pounding the air out the ball and then putting up some bullshit or passing to somebody and you really have no offense. Inside out is an offense. It's a system. Driving and kick, offense, system. Going into the middle, touching the key, and either putting up a shot, right, or kicking out is an offense. It's always better than some jackass pounding, and I don't mean to call Luka a jackass, man, but yeah, that's how I feel about the dude when he plays the game this way. It's always better than pounding the air out the ball and then kicking out or shooting a poor shot. It's no offensive continuity. It's no chemistry. Yo, people need to understand that when you go inside and that's an option. DeAndre Ayton is an option player. I just made a video about how Austin Reeves is not an option player. DeAndre Ayton is an option player. I'm not saying he's better than Austin Reeves. I'm just saying he is an option player, right? DeAndre Ayton, you go to DeAndre Ayton. You got he's one option, right? And kicking it out is another option. That's the value of DeAndre Ayton. It gives you more than what you think. You think you don't need him to be offensive at all. And I'm hearing a lot of these guys saying, well, we actually don't really need. That's why they keep picking these guys like Nick Claxton, 10 points and 7 rebounds a game, and Daniel Gafford, 12 points and 8 rebounds a game. That's why they keep going to these guys, because they see no value in a center, especially offensively. Because their simple ass minds think it's all about the three-pointer, right? And that's why you're hearing these narratives, man. And I'm telling you, if the Lakers fall into those narratives, then they are behind the 8 ball, man. The game is always going to go back to what it's always been. The league tried to follow the exception, not the rule. The exception was Golden State with 3 of the best shooters in NBA history. The game is now coming back to the rule. And the rule is inside out. I don't care that you shoot threes. I am not a big proponent of threes, right? As an entity by themselves. I'm a big proponent of threes if they're a great shot that comes in an offense. I am not a big proponent of threes the way Luka Doncic shoots them or generates them. Because oftentimes they're generated from a poor offense. If your threes are generated from poor offense, they're bad threes. They're threes in which 4 guys are watching 1 guy. But see, implicitly and inherently, a center that is good and competent offensively generates a better 3 than Luka Doncic does. Because Luka Doncic, at least what we've seen from him, pounds the air out the ball. When you go inside out, more of your teammates are touching the ball, right? So whatever you wanted to blame, let's say a Dalton Knect for, right? Yo, part of that is because there is no offense. It's not a Dalton Knect problem. It's a JJ Redick problem. There's no offense. So if you want to have a good offense, right? Have a center that's worth a damn. Have a center that's worth passing to. And then when you pass to him and he goes to do something, he's shooting 55% from the field, 60% from the field. Take that. Yo, if you could trade that 2031 first round pick for DeAndre Ayton, and you could protect it, do it. He's at least worth a top 10 pick. At least. So protect it top 10 and send it to him. He's worth that. Right? And he would be a part of my perfect off season. If you could trade DeAndre Ayton for that 2031 pick, and then me personally, I would trade Austin Reeves for Jalen Green, right? Or some package around that. If you think it's unfair to you Laker fans, whatever. I don't give a shit. We have LeBron and Luka. We need a third player who's going to be assertive, even if we have LeBron and Luka on the court. And oftentimes what you saw is when LeBron and Luka are on the court, Austin Reeves is not assertive. Austin Reeves has to be able to play an assertive game, a downhill style game. And LeBron needs the ball too much, and Luka needs the ball too much. If it was just LeBron, I would say, we could keep Austin Reeves. Not with Luka there too. Luka pounds the ball too damn much. With that being said, you need a third who don't give a shit about Luka. Right? While I appreciate Austin Reeves' game more than Jalen Green's game, the team that is around Austin Reeves don't appreciate Austin Reeves' game. Because Austin Reeves needs the ball too. Dude gotta cook. He's that good. Right? But he's not an option. Right? He doesn't have the personality that's big enough to be an option. So I'm just talking about that. I've already made a video about Austin Reeves not being an option player. I am now talking about the ideal offseason. And the ideal offseason for me is getting DeAndre Ayton for that protected 2031 pick. And I think Portland would be up for that. The other thing you got to remember is DeAndre Ayton's 26. Luka Doncic is 26. Austin Reeves is 26. 26 is a good effing age, man. Good age. To have your team be good. If you got 26-year-olds on your team and your team is competitive, you're working with something, right? The thing about Houston is, and I keep bringing up Houston because to me, they're going to be the ideal trade partner. The thing about Houston is, Houston has 22-year-olds and they're kicking ass. You know what I'm saying? They actually need an infusion of some Austin Reeves. You got 22-year-olds, and then you got Fred VanVleet, who's ready to go, right? You got Reed Shepherd, who can't even get time on the court. Reed Shepherd is young as shit. Amen Thompson, young as shit. Jabari Smith, young as shit. Alperen Sengun, young as shit. You actually need Austin Reeves. You need that on your team. You need that in your locker room. Because Fred VanVleet, days are numbered, kind of, But yeah, I'm hearing DeAndre Ayton, and he definitely feels a need on the Lakers. Although he averaged 14 and 10 last year, at 26, he is definitely capable of being 20 and 10. That's in 30 minutes, by the way, also, right? You've projected that out to 36 minutes a night, and DeAndre Ayton is definitely 17, 18 and 11 or 12, right? You have Portland, who's trying to bring up Donovan Clingan, right? So my point is the Lakers could actually get a lot of value from picking up DeAndre Ayton. Now, the other half of all of this is this. The reason why I am more inclined to be for DeAndre Ayton and against the Daniel Gafford and against the Nick Claxton is because DeAndre Ayton has a proven history of being 18 and 10, 18 and 12, right? If he had the same kind of progression that I think was stunted because the whole league sheepishly followed the Golden State model and went away from the DeAndre Aytons, from the Julius Randles, from the Jahlil Okafors, right? Who had similar stat line before he was, in my opinion, fell victim to a stupid ass copycat NBA, right? DeAndre Ayton is not those guys. Yes, DeAndre Ayton put up 14 and 10, right? Nick Claxton 10 and 7, Daniel Gafford 12 and 8. DeAndre Ayton put up 14 and 10, but he's historically 18 and 11. That's what he is historically, right? And if he was allowed to progress, I think he'd be 23 and 13, 23 and 12. But he wasn't. His progression was stunted by the NBA, in my opinion, right? So, the difference between Nick Claxton, Daniel Gafford, and DeAndre Ayton? Upside, potential. What the numbers really read between the lines, right? The context. All that matters, you know. And he is better than those guys. He's a degree better than those guys, you know. So, again, ideal offseason, DeAndre Ayton, trade Austin Reeves for Jalen Green, right? Because you need somebody who doesn't give a shit that Luka Doncic is on the court and pounding the shit out. You need somebody, when they touch it, they're going to go do something with it. That's in their nature, right? They don't need Luka to tell them, okay, it's your turn to go. They're just going to go. You need that on your team. That's an option player. Jalen Green is an option player. He's a Class A or alpha personality. You need that next to Luka Doncic, right? Because you don't need Jalen Green doesn't need to be told anything. Yo, we need a basket. Somebody else got to do something. Well, shit, pass me the ball. I'll go do it. That's Jalen Green, right? And the Lakers need that. I understand. Is he ideal? Whatever. Maybe he is ideal, right? There's no such thing as ideal. With that being said, maybe he is ideal, you know. But Lakers do that. Get DeAndre Ayton, trade for Jalen Green, or some package that involves Jalen Green, in my opinion. And you go pick up in the draft, try to pick up Maxime Renaud. Let him play backup center, right? Or get Tristan Vukcevic, right? Add players who one could help you now, but 2 or 3 projects on your sideline, right? Let projects fill out the roster. Don't fill out the roster with veterans. No team plays 12 deep during the regular season or the playoffs. It's too deep. No one can get going, right? Have projects on your roster. So bring back as much of the team as possible. That's fine. Add DeAndre Ayton. Add Jalen Green. Keep Dalton Knect. Keep him. And give him a fair opportunity. Don't submarine the dude because you're establishing a narrative that involves him in every fucking trade. Don't do that. Okay? The way Dalton Knect started the season, right? Don't regress him. He was regressed because of the coach. He was not regressed because of his play. And the talking heads kept building a narrative that supported the coach. Right? Don't do that. Okay? Keep Dalton Knect. Get rid of Austin Reeves. Bring in Jalen Green. So, DeAndre Ayton, Jalen Green, Dalton Knect. I mean, literally, develop the dude as a part of the roster. Give him 20, 25 minutes a game. Dalton Knect. Bring back as much of the team as possible, right? And I understand with any trade you do, salaries matter. I get that, right? Work that out, whatever. But bring in those guys and then add 3 good projects, right? And put them on the roster and develop them, right? Maxime Renaud, bring him in, you know? Tristan Vukcevic, right? Bring those guys in. Find and I'm going to use this term, and I hate using this term. Find a 3-and-D, a player that you like, that you target, and go get that player. Bring them in. You know? Do those things, and the Lakers will be in fantastic shape next year. Also, one thing that I would really like to see, and this is why I want DeAndre Ayton and Tristan Vukcevic, because Tristan Vukcevic could be a power forward. He does not have to play center. The dude is so offensively capable that he could be a power forward, right? Stop using the term bigs, you guys. There is something called a power forward, and there is a place for a power forward in the game. You guys keep saying bigs. That's the dumbest term ever, right? 3-and-D is specific. Bigs is not specific, and it deserves more specificity. Okay? Use the terms, man. Don't use the terms, right? That check boxes on a list. Understand what's going on. Yo, if you had DeAndre Ayton and Tristan Vukcevic is your starting center and starting power forward, right? You could shift the whole team. And even if you didn't have them as your starting center and starting power forward, that option is potent as fuck. I'm telling y'all, it's potent. Pursue that. Pursue that lineup. I understand that a lot of people say, well, LeBron is our power forward. Look, man, LeBron don't want to bang anymore. He ain't built like that. You need somebody else who wants to bang. And I'm telling you who somebody else is. It's some young power forward. Ain't nobody want to get in. He ain't trying to go at it with Julius Randle. Look, I keep saying this shit, man. LeBron James and Luka Doncic want to grab rebounds flat-footed. They ain't trying to pursue the rebound. They're not trying to bang with some bigger dude to get the rebound. They grab rebounds flat-footed. You play 38 minutes a game, right? You're going to be in position oftentimes to grab a flat-footed rebound, especially when you're as big as LeBron is. He wants to grab flat-footed rebounds, but there's a time in the game. And when I say a time in the game, I'm talking about the freaking playoffs, where you need to go get the rebound. You need to get physical and grind for a rebound. That's not LeBron anymore, man. That's why I made a video earlier saying, yo, man, this is the first time where these are the first playoffs where I saw LeBron feel his mortality. He ain't want no part of it. It wasn't in him. Does the dude still have value? Absolutely. But that wasn't in him. Not in these last playoffs. He looked at the landscape and said, yo, we ain't beating this team. LeBron does better when he knows he got a squad that's built to win. He does. I've noticed that. And so, yeah, I'm saying that if LeBron wants to play in the NBA and extend his career, he needs to understand what a team needs to win. And then he needs to be able to play as an auxiliary piece to that. Right? So if the Lakers could get DeAndre Ayton and they could get Tristan Vukcevic, and they come to realize that their best chance of winning is with those two on the court at the same time, then LeBron needs to either fit in or begin to move out. That's what he has to do. I understand he wants to play power forward because it's less movement and he's strong as hell. But when the playoffs come, you got to be able to bang with these cats too. Right? If an Aaron Gordon or a Julius Randle is steady getting the best of you when you play, you might need to consider moving to a different position. And I'll tell you something else too. LeBron's best position with the Lakers might be as an initiator. Not necessarily a point guard, but as an initiator and a rover on defense. You know, Magic Johnson led the NBA in steals one year. Not because he was the best defender. We all know Magic Johnson's my favorite player ever. I think he's the best player ever. But we all know he wasn't the best defender. But defense could be hidden in a good team defense. Right? And that's the reason why for many months after the Lakers traded Anthony Davis, in my opinion, the best individual defender in the NBA, their defense improved because they had a great team defense. LeBron needs to be a rover type in a great team defense at this point in his career. The Lakers could do that for him. The thing is, when it comes to those boards, if you're not willing to go down into the paint and do what you got to do, then you need to figure out where you fit in. You need to get in where you fit in. And my proposition is always that the Lakers go bigger. I was always against that stupid ass death ball, small ball lineup, all that dumb shit that the other talking heads were speaking of. I was always against it. The Lakers need to go bigger. And the Lakers need to have their bigs, ideally, their big men, be center and power forward-ish. Right? What does that mean? It means that the center needs to be able to do center shit, and the power forward needs to be able to do things like stretch the floor. Like be able to slide over and defend a shooting guard and a small forward. Right? Not for an entire 24 seconds. With a power, this is what people don't I'm going to make a video about this, about the power forward and how even the value in the name of a power forward has disappeared. The power forward needs to defend a shooting guard or a small forward for about 5 or 6 seconds. That's all you need. You don't want them to defend them the whole 24-second shot clock. 5 or 6 seconds. If your power forward could do that, then you got more value than the NBA is currently recognizing. And that was the value of a power forward back in the day. We all knew that Patrick Ewing and Rick Smits and Alton Lister and all these cats could not defend a guy for 15 seconds. We all knew that. That's why the power forward was valuable. The power forward could potentially defend a guy 10, 15 seconds, but all we needed was about 6. Right? If you do that, you've disrupted the whole freaking offense. As a defense, you've just disrupted the whole offense. That was the value. You know? Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, man. I've been rambling on these videos, man. But yeah, just to recap, my ideal offseason, you trade for DeAndre Ayton. Right? And I would give up the first round pick. 2031 first top 10 protected. I will give that up for DeAndre Ayton. You're not going to get a better player in the draft at top 10. Right? I will give up a top 10 protected for DeAndre Ayton. I would trade Austin Reeves for Jalen Green. I would pursue a Tristan Vucevic or a Maxime Renaud. Right? But even bigger than that, I'd want 3 projects. Find 3 young projects, right? They don't all have to work out. But again, what does it hurt in positions 13, 14, and 15 on your bench that you have 3 projects, right? No team goes 12 deep anyway. You know? If you're going 12 deep, your team is not that good. You go 10 deep, that's deep. That's deep enough. Right? So find 3 projects that to put on your bench and to develop. You know? And then I would like the Lakers to try to get, and you know, in all fairness, I'm not necessarily calling Tristan Vucevic a project at this point. He's been in the league a couple of years now. Right? He's just been hidden. But find somebody to play the power forward spot. That would be my other request. Right? Fuck the term bigs. There is value outside of just being big. Find a power forward. I don't care if he's 6'9" or 7'1". find a power forward-ish player, right? That'll help you on defense. And if you find the right power forward, you could stretch the floor with that guy. Anyway, this is Pure Uncut Lakers. I heard some people talking about DeAndre Ayton. Yo, I'm all for it. 100% in on DeAndre Ayton. And I recognize his value is potentially an offensive center. That inside-out aspect of the game has been forgotten and lost. But there is nothing new under the sun, and the NBA will go back to that at some point in time. So, yeah. Pursue DeAndre Ayton. I am 100% in on that. I would consider trading the 2031 pick for him. I would not consider trading it for 10-7 Knect Claxton or 12-8 Daniel Gafford. I would consider trading it for DeAndre Ayton, and I do it for I said top 10. I would do top 7 protected pick. Anyway, you guys, please like and subscribe, and I'll hit you next time.